Okay, so in this section we will discuss how to use a CT scan to extract a 3D model to send for 3D printing. I'll be using a program called ITK Snap. There are multiple tutorials online by the people who create the program, and I'll link some videos in the description. But I'll show you here how it's done quickly. So first you import your DICOM images from your CT scan. Next, you're going to use the automatic segmentation tool that is here. It's called Active Contour, aka Snake. So first you select the bounding box in all 3 dimensions. Alright. I make sure that I captured all of the left temporal bone, sagittal view, done, and then coronal views, making sure I capture the whole length of it. Okay, perfect. Segment 3D. Now I'm going to use the method of threshold or thresholding. There are other methods, but for now we're going to use this one. We're going to switch to this view, and I'm going to pick the upper and lower thresholds. So since we're looking at bone, really, we're going to use the higher thresholds. These thresholds are essentially the Hounsfield units, or the radio opacity of the tissues. So you really want to capture as much of the bone as you can, including the fine trabeculae inside the mastoid, while excluding the soft tissues. So if you lower the threshold, then you're going to capture more of the soft tissue. If you go up, you will capture more of the bone. However, you will lose the trabeculae. So you can do what works best for you and for the tissues you're trying to segment. So you have to play a bit with it. Play with the setting a little bit. I think this is okay for now. And next. Then you're going to put your cursor and then add something called a bubble. Just make it small so it's just in the area of interest. I'll put a few ones in multiple areas in the sagittal and the coronal views. So let's see here as well. Add bubble. Add another one here. Let's go into sagittal, see where else I want to add one. Here and here, and then we're gonna go to next. So there are some parameters that you can play with, and you should just try different things. I'm not sure how it works best, but let's see. I think I don't want it to capture too much of the blue tissue, which is the soft tissue. All right, and then we start the algorithm. So it will iterate and it will grow the area in red, and it will essentially create this mesh that we need for our 3D model. So it captures the white, excludes the blue. Depending on your computer specifications, this process might be slow, might be faster. It will take a little bit of time. And once you're satisfied that it has captured most of the bone, then you can stop it. So you can watch it here in real time, how it's growing. See how in this area it hasn't really reached yet. I probably should have added a bubble. So what I can do is I can say, okay, finish. Let's see what it did. We had update here. And that's what we have so far. Not perfect, but that's the rough contours. And then you do it again. So again, same thing, same bounding box, segment 3D, pick this, and then let's use the same settings. Small bubble, put it in the places where we still need it. Here, for example. Maybe put a smaller one here. And then next, keep the same settings and go. So see how the fine trabeculae here are not really being captured. I'm going to pause it. I'm going to change a bit the parameter, maybe change the setting as well, smoothing and stuff. Do it again, because this will affect how it works. So you can see there are some areas that are not being colored. Alright, so let's finish here. Let's update. So this is where the tedious part can start, and it depends really on your use case. Are you using this model for just the outside surface, or are you using it to teach drilling to residents or to drill to yourself as residents or as attendings? The next step now is to really fix it manually. So zoom in. Let's see, for example, I'll give you an example. We want to get the ossicles that are here. So I'll zoom even further. Here we go. And then use the brush to manually. I like a round brush, small. Let's start where the ossicles start at the top. So here, and you can do it manually, slide by slide. And that can be very tedious. And essentially, you can do the same for all the trabeculae in the mastoid. You could try and do it automatically by putting a bubble into the ossicles. Now the ossicles are small and they're only on a few slides, and so it can be done manually. It's not that tedious, but the trabeculae of the mastoid are pretty tedious. So if you're doing it for a 3D model to be drilled, you're going to spend a significant amount of time. So here's the vestibule, and this is probably the stapes foot plate. Keep following these bones. Now it's probably the capitulum. There's something here. So malleus incus, that's probably should continue like that and like that. And then update. Now you might think, okay, how am I going to see it? Well, let's move around and go in. You can now see that we actually have the malleus incus and then the stapes. Over here. Alright, so you do that slide by slide to really do all of the mastoid if you want, and you do it with as much detail as you want. You can use the automatic segmentation multiple times and it will help, but for the fine details there's no way you can do it without having to do some manual work, and obviously it will lead to a more accurate model. Now that you're done, you're going to go to segmentation and then export it, and you export next as a STL mesh file. You name it whatever you want, mastoid probably, left, and you finish. And then I'll show you how it is in a 3D printing slicer.